Okay, back to how to draw the face. She has a low nose, which is just a wee little triangle. Her eyeline is here, which is very low. Then she has an even lower nose. So, a lot of anime characters, they're cute and they're like, yeah. But she's more like this. Hello. My nose is all the way down here, kids. Okay. And she's just got the tiniest little, teeny tiny, almost Animal Crossing-esque triangle for her nose. And then a little tiny mouth, which I don't even have a brush small enough to replicate. The reason why I mentioned earlier, the reason why they do the mouth like that is so that they can just create a lighter style with it. It kind of makes it more realistic because skin does not form harsh lines like that. So, if we look closely at her eyes are actually one whole eye width apart from each other. See? So she's got pretty wide eyes. When drawing her eye, we need to understand the shape of her eye, which I did here. Okay. She has a 5-pointed eye, which means it has 5 different lines to make up the shape of her eye. So we start at 1, we go to 2, cross over to 3, diagonal down to 4, which is the outer point, and then curve back in with number 5. And that's what that looks like when you're done. Her eye also has this little part that comes out right here, which indicates her eyelid folding over her eye, which is also shown here. So really, it's just her eye. This is the bottom of her eyelid, and this is the top of her eyelid. And it gives it that kind of docile look, because she's on a farm. I don't know. She has very thin eyebrows, which have a little bit of weight to them. They're not anime lines. They have a little bit of a triangle towards the end of them, but this one actually is more curved, so they're 2 different shapes. Anyway, moving on. When you draw her eye, you would think you would draw it like this. Okay, let's remember how to draw this eye. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5. That's the shape, and she's got a little eyelid, and then she's got another eyelid, and then she's got her eyebrow. Alright, that's how we do that. Alright, let's draw her actual eye. Yeah. No, that's wrong. It's more like, yeah. She has a flat top to her eye. Or rather, it does not round at the top, it connects straight to the top of her eyelid. And why would I draw that way? Okay. So, that's how that goes. So don't draw it like this. Draw it connected like this. Alright? Alright. It's alright, it's alright. Ah, yes. Don't forget to erase some of the line when you're doing this sketchy thing. I erased a little bit of it, which adds a little sparsity to it, which makes it better. Oh, the flu sucks. Alright. On to coloring. First of all, we're going to start with the skin. She has at least 3 different colors to her skin, plus the blush, plus also the highlight lines. So really 4 or 5 colors. I can count. Yes. Okay. I'm still delirious. Don't forget, I have the flu in this video. So, okay. This was done with watercolor originally, is what I'm thinking, because that's what it looks like. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to look really stupid. But as far as I can tell, yeah, that looks like watercolor. When you replicate watercolor with the computer, if you don't have Corel Painter, and you can just cheat, because there's a feature for that, when you're using Photoshop. I've tried to use the Photoshop brushes that are trying to replicate watercolor, but they kinda suck. Or maybe I just suck. I don't know. Something sucks, and I don't really know how to use them. So I just use the airbrush tool, or a blurry tool. Big blurry? I got this from Slugbox. That's too blurry. Okay. Basically, just use some sort of soft-edged, airbrushy kind of tool that does not change its density depending on how many times you click in the same space. So don't have it set on multiply or anything. Soft round, that's a good one. That's a basic one, let's use that one. Okay. Mode is normal, opacity is 100%, flow is 100%, you want the little touch thingy to be on. If you're doing this at home with actual medium and you don't have Photoshop or you're not using the computer, you can actually try using watercolor. It's really fun. If you are using real watercolor, though, this should actually apply. Start with the lightest color first, and then when I go over with the highlights, you have to mix in some white, opaque white watercolor in, and then add that on top of everything else. I know that's technically watercolor blasphemy, but that's how you have to do it, so whatever, art teachers. Anyway, so when you do the skin, it's very basic as compared to some other ways to do the skin. Here's the basic. I'm going to say basic a lot because we're doing a basic tutorial of the basic things. Alright, I'm going to shut up with that word. Here is the skin tone. Here's the darkened skin tone. And then, if we take the highlights and add just a little bit of highlight, here's the top of the skin tone. So that's the 3 different tones that we're working with. But what is interesting about this is that she not only has that kind of gradation, towards the edges of her face, there's a harsh line that indicates a extreme highlight. Blush. Okay, so that's pretty much all you're going to get out of her skin tone. That's all you need to know. You just need to incorporate it into the right places so that it works. If you take a look-see at what we have done here, I'm going to use the most obnoxious color known to man, which is hot pink. Underneath the hairline, there's a little bit of some shading. More shading here, and just a general gradient of shading towards this direction because the sun is sort of coming from the top leftish angle. I'm not actually sure. It's kind of coming from below and also from this angle, so we can determine that from the highlights. These little dots I added as a stylistic thing just because I like it. It's not actually in the style, so ignore those if you don't want to do those. That just indicates that her cheeks are really appley and shiny and nice. She's got a little bit of shading by her nose and her lip, just a little blob, and also shading above her eyelids. Now, yeah, okay. Where the highlights are, there's some indicating that her eyelid comes up off her face and right underneath her eye. Her lower eyelid is just trailed with a little bit of highlight. And then also the sides of her face, and the other side of her face, like her cheeks or jawline, has this highlight on it as well. Soft curves like this have the highlight. This is just a gradient mostly, and this has the highlight as well. So places where the sun would hit her the hardest, places that come up like her shoulder, her other shoulder, and the points of her face, those have the highlights. Although her nose does not, and her lips does not. So it's selective. She has body blushing, which is where you take the blush that you would see on their cheeks and also blush it onto the body. She has a little bit, I don't know if I did this stylistically. No, yeah, I think she has a little bit of red tones going on. So she has some on her shoulders and on her elbows. If her knees were showing, she would have them there too. And possibly on her wrists or on her palms. Look at ball-jointed dolls if you need to know more about body blushing and where it goes. She's also got a little tiny bit right here. So that just makes her face look softer and nicer and cuter and warmer. You could actually add a little bit to her lip if you really wanted to. Not too much because you don't want her to look like she's wearing lipstick. Anyway, so that's how you do her skin. Her eye is a totally different monster, which I realized after quite a while of drawing this that you have to thicken her eyeline a lot to get it to look right. Yeah, this is the initial drawing of her, and I did the shape right. What is wrong? Oh wait, you have to thicken her eyelashes a lot. So she does not have a bottom eyelash. She only has the top one, which thickens out right about here, and then she has 3 little eyelashes. Whenever you draw eyelashes, you always have to do them very gesturally, like this, and that. Not like, yeah, unless you're drawing, like, a sexy face. But that's a totally different thing. But, yeah, when you do little eyelashes like this, if you have to taper them at all, do that minimalistically, but you would have to be very zoomed out for it to be like that. So just 3 tiny little eyelashes. And also, her eyebrows are not black. They have green in them, like her hair. And her hair is the exact same color as her eyes. Like, I don't know if that's true for the other characters. It's not. Vic Mignogna there doesn't have the same hair color, so I don't know why they did that with Frey, but her all the color for her eyes is the same colors for her hair. So that'll make it easier when you're coloring it. I actually picked this up for some of how I draw my characters now, with how they draw, they, she, whoever, the giant team of people that created this game, they all collectively draw this way. I really like the way that they did the eye for this. I would say initially draw the line of the eye, and then erase where you want this highlight to be, or, even easier, just add the highlight on a new layer as pure opaque white, and you just cover up everything that you've done like this. The way they do the eye is kind of weird, because the pupil isn't black, like in a lot of anime. The pupil is this part right here, and it actually gradients out to the lighter color of the iris inside the pupil. So if you look at this right here, technically this circle would have to be the pupil, but it gets gradiented out into the same color as the rest of the eye. So it's almost like it concaves in where the pupil is. It's kind of gross when you think about it, but that's kind of what it looks like. So anyway, the darkest dark is inside the pupil, and then it gradients out. The outside of the iris is this lighter color, which is this one. This is the pupil color. And then there's this slightly yellower green that is a highlight color around here. And then also it gets a little bit darker with the darkest color towards the bottom of the eye. And it also has the outline lines, the same as the rest of the drawing. And then you just have to have these 2 little highlight circles like that. You got it in your eye?
No.
Oh. Oh, okay, you got it in your desk. I thought you, were eating the pickle like this, and you got it in your eye? I'm like, how much do you want to eat that? Good lord. It burns! My ribs are in my eyes! They're in my eyes! This is really hard to explain. That was weird. The rest of the way they shade the eyes is actually really weird for me. So, most eyes, when you draw them, bloop, yeah. Okay. So most eyes, the way they are, the skin goes around like this, and then you draw in, you color all the skin like that, right? Right? Nope! It's over here, too. What? Yeah. Okay. So, the way they do eyes, for some reason, and I'm going to keep saying they, even though it's one girl, this part has the white of the eye. The sclera shows up here, like, humans do, but not over here. And not over here. It's selective, which is really weird. They do that in... Yeah, they do that with this guy. His eye doesn't have any white on that side. Let's see. She doesn't have that much white on this side. She doesn't have white over here. So, decoding this, what we can learn about the style is wherever there would be the most white, like she's looking over here, so she'd have white here to show that her eye is on this side of her eye. And she's also looking over here with this eye, so there would be the most white on that side. Ow. That hurt. Okay, apparently my heart tried to explode. Why? Okay. Wherever the most white would show up is where the white is. But it's not on the other side. They don't even manage to put the rest of the white over here. They just fill it in. Which I can actually understand, because when you're watercoloring, white is really hard to put. Like, you have to leave the white out. You have to paint everything around the white. So you have to know exactly where you want all the white to be. And if you mess up, then you messed up and you're done, and you messed it up and it's over and it's all wrong and it's bad. So that's how you do the eye. And also don't remember that it has this nice little shine underneath, which separates it from the rest of the skin and makes it look like it comes outwards a little bit. Her eyelashes are not black. They are just a darker brown. If they were black, she'd look weird. Look like some kind of cheap hoe.